All glories to God.
Hare Krishna, welcome to all devotees. Now we start today's Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutam Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiret Nashtaprayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भवती नैष्टिकी. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. We continuing chapter 11, canto 11, chapter 16, the Lord's opulent shloka from 29 to 44. Vasudeva Bhagavatam Tvam Tu Bhagavateshu Aham Kim Purushanam Hanumana Vidyadharanam Sudarshana Ratnanam Padmaragosmi Padmakosha Supeshasam Ushasmi Dharvajatinam Gavyam Ajam Avishu Aham व्यवसायिनाम अहम लक्ष्मी कितवानाम चलग्रह तितिक्षा अस्मि तितिक्षूणाम सत्वम सत्वताम अहम ओजसः बलवताम कर्म अहम विद्धि सात्वताम सात्वताम मूर्तीनाम आदि मूर्ति हम परा विश्वावसु पुरुचित्तिः गंधर्व अप्सरसाम अहम भूधराणाम अहम स्थैर्यम गंधमात्रम अहम भुव अपामरसच परम तेजिष्ठानां विभावसु प्रभासुरेन्दु ताराणां शब्दं नभस परः ब्रह्मण्यानां बलि अहम वीराणां अहम अर्जुन भूतानां स्थिति उत्पत्ति अहम वै प्रतिसक्रमः गति युक्ति उत्सर्ग उपादानम आनंद स्पर्श लक्षणम आस्वाद श्रुति अवग्रहणम अहम सर्व इंद्रिय पृथ्वी वायु आकाश आप ज्योति हम विकार पुरुष व्यक्तम रज सत्वम तम पर अहम एतत् प्रसंख्यानम ज्ञानम तत्व विनिश्चय मया ऐश्वर्येण जीवेन गुणेन गुणिना विना सर्वात्मन अपि सर्वेण न भाव विद्यते क्वचित् संख्यानं परमाणूनां कालेन कृते मया न तथा मे विभूतीनां सृजत अंडानि कोटिशः तेज श्री कीर्ति ऐश्वर्य त्याग सौभगम भगः वीर्यं तितिक्षा विज्ञानं यत्र यत्र समे अशकः एताः ते कीर्तिताः सर्वा संक्षेपेण विभूतयः मनोविकारा एवैते यथा वाच अभिधीयते वाचमिच्छ मनो यच्च प्राणानि यच्च इन्द्रियाणि च आत्मानं आत्मना यच्च न भूयो कल्पसे अध्वने यह वै वाक् मनसि सम्यक् संयच्छन्धिया यतिः तस्य व्रतं तपोदानं श्रवति आम घट अम्बुवत् तस्मात् तवच मनो प्राणान् नियच्छेत मत्परायण मद्भक्ति युक्तया बुद्ध्या ततः परिसमाप्यते. ट्रांसलेशन परपट वेद श्रीला प्रभुपाद जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय. Among those entitled to the name Bhagwan, I am Vasudha, and indeed you, Uddhava, represent me among the devotees. I am Hanuman among the Kimpurushas, and among the Vidyadharas, I am Sudarshan. Among jewels, I am the ruby, and among beautiful things, I am the lotus cup. Among all types of grass, I am sacred kusha, and of oblation, I am ghee and other ingredients obtained from the cow. Among the enterprising, I am fortune, and among the cheaters, I am gambling. I am the forgiveness of the tolerant and the good qualities of those in mode of goodness. Of the powerful, I am bodily and mental strength, and I am the devotional activities of my devotees. My devotees worship me in 9 different forms, among which I am the original and primary Vasudeva. Among the Gandharvas, I am Vishwavasu, and I am Purvachitti among the heavenly Apsaras. I am the steadiness of mountains and the fragrant aroma of the earth. I am the sweet taste of water, and among brilliant things, I am the sun. I am the effulgence of the sun, moon and stars, and I am the transcendental sound that vibrates in the sky. Among those dedicated to Brahminical culture, I am Bali Maharaj, the son of Virochan, and I am Arjuna among heroes. Indeed, I am the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of a living entities. I am the functions of the five working senses, the legs, speech, ears, hands, and six organs, as well as those of the five knowledge acquiring senses, touch, sight, taste, hearing, and smell. I am the potency by which each of the senses experiences its particular sense object. I am form, taste, aroma, touch, and sound. False ego, the Mahatattva, earth, water, fire, air, and sky, the living entity, material nature, the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, and the transcendental Lord. All these items, along with knowledge of their individual symptoms and steady conviction that result from this knowledge, represent me. As the Supreme Lord, I am the basis of the living entity of the modes of nature and of the Mahatattva. Thus, I am everything and nothing whatsoever can exist without me. Even though over a period of time I might count all the atoms of the universe, I could not count all of my opulences which I manifest within innumerable universes. Whatever power, beauty, fame, opulence, humility, renunciation, mental pleasure, fortune, strength, tolerance, or spiritual knowledge, there may be is simply an expansion of my opulence. I have briefly described to you all my spiritual opulences and also the extraordinary material features of my creation, which are pursued by the mind and defined in different ways according to circumstances. Therefore, control your speaking, subdue the mind, conquer the life air, regulate the senses, and through purified intelligence, bring your rational faculties under control. In this way, you will never again fall onto the path of material existence. A transcendentalist who does not completely control his word and mind by superior intelligence will find that his spiritual woes, austerities, and charity flow away just as water flows out of an unbaked clay pot. Being surrendered to me, one should control the speech, mind, and life air, and then through loving devotional intelligence, one will completely fulfill the mission of life. श्रीला प्रभुपाद, जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय. The Vedic literatures state that one who possesses perfect knowledge of the creation and destruction of all entities and who is completely situated in omniscience is to be known as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Bhagwan. Although many great personalities are sometimes called Bhagwan, ultimately Bhagwan is the one supreme entity who possesses unlimited opulences. Throughout history, many important personalities have been addressed as Lord, but ultimately there is only one Supreme Lord. In the Lord's Chaturvyuha or quadruple expansion, the first manifestation is Vasudev, who here represent all of the Lord's expansions in the Vishnu Tattva category. Panchagavya refers to 5 sacrificial ingredients obtained from the cow, namely milk, ghee, yogurt, dung, and urine. The cow is so valuable that even its dung and urine are antiseptic and fit for sacrificial offering. Kusha grass is also used for religious occasions. Maharaj Parikshit constructed a sitting place from Kusha grass during the last week of his life. Among beautiful things, the lotus cup formed by lotus petals represents Lord Krishna, and among jewels, the ruby, which is similar to Lord Krishna's own Kaustubh gem, symbolizes the potency of the Lord. Generally, the Vaishnavas worship the personality of Godhead as Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Narayan, Hagriv, Varaha, Narsimha, and Brahma. It is understood that when a suitable living entity is not available to fill the post of Brahma, the Lord himself assumed the position. Therefore, Lord Brahma is mentioned in the list. Lord Vishnu sometimes appears as Indra and sometimes as Brahma. And it is Vishnu appearing as Brahma who is indicated in this connection. In Bhagavad Gita 7.9, Lord Krishna says, Punya Gandha Prithvivyam cha. I am the fragrance of the earth. The original fragrance of the earth is very pleasing and represent Lord Krishna. Although unpleasant among may be artificially produced, they do not represent the Lord. Having given a brief cut, detailed synopsis of his personal opulences within this world, the Lord now briefly summarizes the opulences that expand from his bodily effulgence. It is stated in Brahma Samhita that all of the material universes with their infinite varieties, transformation, and opulences rest on the bodily effulgence of the Lord. Srila Goswami has elaborately explained this point in his commentary on this verse. Without the manifestation of the Mahatattva or total material existence and the Jiva or living entity, nothing can exist within the material world. Everything we experience is a combination of living entity and matter in its various subtle and gross categories. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the entire basis of the existence of both the living entity and matter. Nothing can possibly exist even for a moment without the mercy of the Supreme Lord. One should not foolishly conclude that the Lord is there for material, as has been clearly explained in this canto of the Bhagavatam. Both the living entity and the Supreme Lord are completely transcendental to material nature. The living entity, however, has the propensity to dream that he is material, whereas the Lord constantly remembers the transcendental position of both himself and the conditioned dreaming entity. As the Lord is transcendental, his abode is also far beyond the reach of the modes of nature. The actual purpose of life is to understand by mature conviction the transcendental Lord, his transcendental abode, our own transcendental position, and the process by which we may go back home, back to Godhead. The Lord here explains that Uddhava should not expect a complete catalog of the Lord's opulences, since even the Lord himself finds no limit to such opulences. According to Srila Goswami, Kalena indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is within every atom and can therefore easily calculate the total number of atoms. However, although the Lord is certainly omniscient, even he himself cannot supply a finite number of his opulences because they are infinite. Although the Lord stated in the previous verse that his opulences are innumerable, the Lord here gives a specific resume and demonstration of his opulences. According to Sanskrit grammar, and as confirmed by Srila Sridhar Swami, the word Etaha and Ete describe two distinct sets of the Lord's opulences. The Lord has described his opulent plenary expansion, such as Vasudev Narayan, the super soul, etc. And further, the Lord has described the outstanding features of the material creation, which are also included among the glories of the personality of Godhead. The plenary manifestation of the Lord, such as Vasudev, Narayan, etc., are all eternal and changing transcendental features of the Lord and are indicated by the term Etaha. The extraordinary aspects of material creation, however, are circumstantial and dependent on individual perception, and they are therefore described here by the word Mana Vikara. Eva ete yata vacha abhidhiyate. Srila Goswami explained that by consistent logical application of synonyms, Eta refers to the Lord's eternal spiritual manifestation beyond the perception of the material senses, whereas Ete refers to those opulences that can be pursued by conditioned souls. He gives the example that the paraphernalia and intimate associates of a king are all considered to be part and parcel of the king and are therefore granted royal status. Similarly, the opulent features of material creation are reflected expansions of the Lord's personal opulences and thus may be considered non-different from him. One should not, however, wrongly assume that such insignificant material opulences occupy the same status as the Lord's plenary feature as the personality of Godhead, which are qualitatively and quantitatively equal to the Lord. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments as follows on this verse. The Lord's external opulences are called manavikara or related to material transformation because ordinary people pursue extraordinary features of the material world according to their personal state of mind. Thus, the word Vachabhidhiyate indicates that conditioned souls describe the Lord's material creation according to specific material circumstances. He gives the example of paraphernalia in material opulence. Such opulence is never to be considered a direct plenary manifestation of the Lord's personal form. When one state of mind is transferred into a favorable or affectionate state, one defines a manifestation of the Lord's energy as my son, my father, my husband, my uncle, the son of my brother, my friend, and so on. One forgets that every living entity is actually part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that whatever opulences, talents, or outstanding feature one may exhibit are actually the potencies of the Lord. Similarly, when the mind is transformed into a negative or inimical state, one thing that this person will be the ruin of me. This person must be finished by me. He is my enemy, and I am his enemy. He is a killer, or he should be killed. The negative state of mind is also expressed when one is attracted to the extraordinary material aspects of particular person or object, but forgets that they are manifestation of the potential of the personality of Godhead. Even the demigod Indra, who is quite obviously a manifestation of the Lord's material opulences, is misunderstood by others. For example, Indra's wife Sachi thinks that Indra is my husband, whereas Aditi thinks that he is my son. Jayanta thinks that he is my father. Bruhaspati thinks that he is my disciple, whereas the demons feel that Indra is their personal enemy. Thus, different personalities define him according to their mental state. The Lord's material opulences being relatively pursued are therefore called manovikara, which means they are dependent on mental states. This relative perception is material because it does not recognize the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the actual source of the particular. If one sees Lord Krishna as the source of all opulences and gives up all that to enjoy or possess the Lord's opulences, then one can see the spiritual nature of these opulences. At that time, even though one may continue to pursue the variety and distinctions of the material world, one will become perfect in Krishna consciousness. One should not conclude, as do the Vaidist philosophers, that the Lord's spiritual manifestation in the Vishnu Tattva and liberated Jew categories are also products of relative perception and mental states. This useless idea is contrary to the entire body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's teachings of Sri Uddhava. According to Srilaji Goswami, the word Vacha also indicates the various Vedic literature that describe the particular processes by which the Lord manifests his spiritual and material opulences, and in this context, Yatha indicates the specific procedure of manifestation and creation. One should see all things as expansions of the Supreme Lord's potency, and thus with speech, mind, and senses, one should offer respect to all things without minimizing any living entity or material object. Since everything belongs to the Lord, everything ultimately should be engaged in the Lord's service with great care. A self-realized devotee tolerates personal insult and does not become envious of any living entity, nor does he see anyone as his enemy. This is practical enlightenment. Although a pure devotee may criticize those who obstruct the Lord's mission, such criticism is never personally motivated, nor is it ever based on enviousness. as advanced duty of the Lord may chastise his followers or criticize demoniac, but only to carry out the mission of the Supreme Lord and never out of personal enmity or enviousness. For one who completely gives up the material concept of life, there is no possibility of entering again onto the path of birth and death. When a clay pot is properly baked, it holds any liquid substance without leakage. If a clay pot is not properly baked, however, water or any liquid within it will slip out and be lost. Similarly, a transcendentalist who does not control his speech and mind will find that his spiritual discipline and austerity gradually slip away and or lost. That or charity refers to work performed for the welfare of others. Those who are trying to give the highest charity by preaching Krishna consciousness should not engage in speaking cleverly for the satisfaction of a beautiful woman, nor should they attempt to become artificial intellectual simply for the sake of mundane academic prestige. One should not even think of intimate sexual relationships, nor should one daydream of acquiring a prestigious position. Otherwise, one's determination to strictly practice Krishna consciousness will be lost. As described here, one must control the mind, senses, and speech by higher intelligence so that one's life will be successful. One can develop loving devotional intelligence by perfectly chanting the Brahma Gayatri mantra awarded by the moment of Brahman initiation. By clear intelligence, one becomes naturally and spontaneously disinterested in the rewards offered by mental speculation and fruitive activities and takes full shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus end the purport of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 11th canto, 16th chapter of the Srimad Bhagwatam entitled The Lord's Opulences. Now prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवान् च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांच नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात देशतारिणे वंचा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा दंडवत प्रणाम. Or today we completed chapter 16. Tomorrow we will start 17th chapter. In that chapter they describe varnashram system. Now if you are ready, we first chanting session and after that rejoining we explain upon all these shlokas. Hare Krishna dandat pranam panchakalpatarubhya kripa sindhubhya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavbhyo namo namo.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji. So what we will be doing today is, since these are important shlokas, we will be continuing the discussions. And we will start the chanting session after the meeting ends. Okay. So coming to the opulences of Krishna, which we have seen, wherein Krishna is now comparing himself and giving us an idea of what all things we can imagine Krishna to be, of how Krishna is the source of everything. So,
No sound.
hello.
Yes,
Yeah, Hare
yes, yes.
Krishna. Yeah, sorry. So, right from say the form, the taste, the aroma, the touch, the sound, everything. He is the Mahatattva, the earth, water, fire, air, sky, whatever is there, it's all because of Krishna. Along with the knowledge and the steady conviction that results from this knowledge is actually representing Krishna. So he is the basis of our presence, of the modes of nature, as well as of the Mahatattva. Krishna is everything. Nothing whatsoever can exist without Krishna. That is the most important essence. And that is why you will see when Prabhupada ji is talking about Krishna, he starts with always saying, Ishavasyamidam sarva. Because that is what Krishna actually is for. He represents. He is the everything. So whether it is animate, inanimate, whatever is there in this world, it is controlled and owned by the Lord. Therefore, Prabhupada ji says, as mentioned in that shloka, that we should accept only those things necessary for ourselves and which are set aside as our quota. And we should not accept any other things, knowing well that they all belong to Krishna. Now, if you see Vedic knowledge, which is coming directly from Krishna, is infallible. And this knowledge is coming in the perfect disciplic succession of spiritual masters, beginning with Lord himself. And so, this is very important. That is why it's also called as Apaurushaya. So, this is an important information which comes to us. And Vedas are perfect in themselves. They are not, what I'll say, affected by the four defects that we living entities have, wherein we can make mistakes, we are subject to illusion, we have a propensity to cheat others, and our senses are imperfect. But Lord is Purnam, all perfect. There is no possibility of Krishna being subjected to the laws of material nature because he controls them. So the living entities, the inanimate objects, everything is controlled by laws of nature and ultimately by the Lord's potency. So this becomes very important. And in fact, Krishna talks about this even in Bhagavad Gita, if you remember the 7th chapter, wherein Krishna is saying, Bhumi apo nalavvayu khanam mano buddhirevacha ahankara iti ayam me bhinna prakriti ashtada. So he's talking about these 8 constituents of the separated material energies of Krishna. The Pancha Tattva, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and then mind, intelligence, and false ego. So he clearly talks about this. And not only that, if you see, Krishna gives further explanation in the very next loka that there is another superior energy of Krishna which comprises the living entities for exploiting the resources of the material and inferior nature. Aparemeyam itahatavanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho ye idam dharyate jagat. So it is very clearly mentioned that we are also part of Krishna, but unfortunately we try to exploit the other energies of Krishna. But then the laws of nature are something which controls everything. And we forget the opulences of Krishna. We forget the original position of Krishna. And that is why we keep on moving life after life in this material world itself with no end to our miseries. Because for this material creation, this is why Krishna appears. He takes the different Purusha incarnations, expansions. And that is how the whole creation has come in. which you have seen in the first canto itself. So Krishna here is giving all this knowledge to Uddhava, and through Uddhava, he's trying to make us aware of his eternal position, of his eternity, of his supremacy. In fact, Krishna, if you see, goes on to state here in one of the shlokas that maybe over a period of time, we may be able to count all the atoms of universe, but still no one will be able to count the opulences which Krishna manifests within innumerable universes. Now, this is a very profound statement which Krishna has made. Sankhyanam parmanunam kalena kriyate maya na tatha me vibhutinam shujato handani kotisha. Now, it's very difficult to count the atoms maybe in this one small block of, say, small toy. And here Krishna is saying that maybe you will be able to count all the atoms in the material world, but still his opulences are going to be much, much, much more than that. So here, Jiva Goswami ji makes an important statement regarding the word Kalena. So when the Kalena word is being used, here it is referring to presence of Supreme Personality of Godhead within every item. And therefore, maybe over a period of time, sometime he may be able to count himself. But Lord is omniscient. He himself cannot supply a finite number for his opulences because they are infinite. So after understanding this nature of Krishna, it becomes our duty to follow his instructions. Because that is what Krishna is telling to Uddhava. That he has explained the opulences, the extraordinary material features which can be pursued by mind and defined. And therefore, Uddhava, control your speaking, the first thing. Second, subdue the mind. Second thing, mind control. Third, conquer the life air. Fourth, regulate the senses. And fifth, through purified intelligence, bring the rational faculties under control. So these are the 5 things. The moment these are done, will never fall onto the path of material existence. A transcendentalist who is not able to control his words and mind will find that the austerities, the spiritual vows, charity, it just flows away like a water. So it is important that we, sixth, being surrendered to Krishna, control the speech first, mind second, life air third, fourth, regulate the senses, and fifth, purify the intelligence. So how do we do it? That becomes a natural question. And Krishna answers that question as well, that it can be possible through loving devotional intelligence and loving devotional service. Mad bhakti yuktaya badya tatah parisamapyate. So this is very important. Mat bhakti yuktaya. It has to be endued with devotion to Krishna. So, if you want to develop such devotional intelligence, then it is possible by chanting the Maha Mantra. And what is that Maha Mantra? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, Manah Trayate iti mantraha. And among such mantras, there is something which is Maha Mantra, which can give the benefits of all the other mantras, which can give the ultimate benefit. And what is the ultimate for any human life, any existence that we have? It is ensuring that we go back home, back to Krishna. We understand our eternal position with, uh, which is there, our relationship with Krishna, nurture it, and successfully ensure that we complete the mission of our life and achieve the ultimate objective of our life, which is Krishna Prem. And we are lucky that it has become very easy for us to achieve. And how do we do it? With ABCDE: association, reading of the scriptures, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, taking only Krishna Prasadam, or engaging in deity services, and E, engagement in seva. Some seva to deities or the devotees that is going to keep us continuously engaged, purify our mind, and will be successful. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyacha kripa sindhubhayavacha patitanam panibhyo Vaishnavaya.